Tetris down. 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Yeah, bot's dead. Woo! Everything is scuffed, and we love it. We love it. Yeah, Stoichel, they got real desperate, so I'm here now. Alright, Rahmations gets the first Tetris. Dan is ready and gets one of his own. Rahmations trying to keep that perfect going. Dan already taking a burn. But Rahmations going to have to take a couple of his own. That gets another Tetris, go up to 47,000, 46,000 for Dan. Hey Zohasadar, how's it going? Oh, hello Anpu as well. Hope y'all are doing well. And just throwing those pieces to the left. There's a nice double to open the well again and gets a Tetris. 93,000 now for Dan, 116 for Rahmations. Usually I'm restreaming like community tier stuff, so I'm always able to comment on misdrops, but these players don't really make many of those. So we're gonna see how this goes. Another Tetris for Dan, 140, 142 for Rahmations. Dan just not getting the right pieces for that little dependency there. Makes it work with a couple of burns. Set up for a very high Tetris and gets it. And the double bar for the double Tetris, 190 for Dan, 169 for Rahmations. Gets another Tetris, go up to 192. Players just trading these Tetrises back and forth. Very close game early on. 215 to 213. Rahmations ahead by 2K. But gets another Tetris. Players just aren't letting up. Pretty much just taking a Tetris, and then the other player takes a Tetris, and just rinse and repeat. We're separated by 1,000 points with no line differential, so someone took a double when someone else took 2 singles or so. Nice tuck there for Dan. That's some kind of weird bits thing there on the left, off to tuck in the L, and gets a second L to finish that. Why are they tickling the controller? I agree, Stoichel. It's pretty odd. It's an odd playstyle. Ooh, Rahmations with a bit of a bar dependency there on the left. Nice spin, though. That was really nice for Rahmations. Dan a bit dependent. Fills in the dependencies very easily. Takes the Tetris to go to 352, 339 for Rahmations. And both are set up for a Tetris. Rahmations will get one, as will Dan. And with Dan behind by a few lines and ahead in score, it's a true pace lead for him. Put fried chicken on the bottom left. After this game, I have a fried chicken PNG. I'll do it. That's a PNG I actually have. Dan has now taken a full 1 Tetris lead at 422, 390 for Rahmations. Oh, Popeyes, 100%. Popeyes. Rahmations nails the T-spin, sets up the S-flat, and gets a bunch of unfavorable pieces following. Regular, I am not a spice guy. So Dan now ahead by multiple Tetrises at almost 500,000 at 100 lines. Rahmations not really on a bad game either, just Dan's on a really killer one. 439 for Rahmations, 492 for Dan, make it 514 with that Tetris, and 537 with that Tetris, just not letting up. Rahmations having to do some burning. Now ahead in lines and behind by 80k. Dan's probably feeling pretty comfortable going into transition in about 20 lines. He is bar dependent, fills the bar dependency over getting the Tetris. Could be risky, but gets the bar for the center well Tetris. 562 for him, 497 for Rahmations. Dan has a pretty safe 600k transition, aka he just got 600k and still has room for another Tetris. Rahmations still has room for 2 more. Somehow getting behind in lines for a moment there. And it's going to end up burning in a transition with that delayed burn. Transitions at 543. Dan's going to look transition around 635. So Rahmations needs to make this up in post. For Dan, 660. 90,000 point lead over Rahmations. Rahmations strikes back with the Tetris of his own. And Dan just not letting up on this aggression. 736 at the end of 20. This is one heck of a game, and another one, 762, taking a 100,000 point lead. Rahmations with a bit of a funky left side. Gonna need to spam some pieces under that. Gets 1, gets 2, and now has some roof burning to do. This is just going to give Dan the opportunity to take even more of a lead. No great place for that square for Dan, so I'm going to have to do at least a couple of burns. Looking like 4 or 5. Or 7. Or 9. And counting. But able to take these burns. As Rahmations was digging there. Dan at 857. 726 for Rahmations. So Dan with the commanding lead. Dan gets the Tetris to go into 924 into 25. Rahmations at 796 into 25, so over 100,000 point lead still. Now just under with that Tetris, but only for a moment as Dan gets another. Dan can max out the score with a Tetris and change. But gonna have to take, well, at least the change here. Not building dirty either. Knows he has the lead, but the lead is shrinking, only 70,000 now. Some great burns for Dan. Tetris is max out, end of 26. What a good game we have here. Hello, Evesy. Hello, Mari. How's it going? Rahmations on the verge of a max out here. Even a triple would do it, but gets a Tetris to max out into 28. Gonna need some kill screen play. Likely. Actually, maybe not. Or no, well, at least a little bit. Has definitely caught up in score. A66 for him. Dan transitions to 29, B16, and is playing. Gets a Tetris, B52. Rahmations' board is actually falling apart. Will the 29.5 grind pay off? It might. Oh man, the 29.5 grind, folks. Are you kidding me, Rahmations? And he's clean and set up for a Tetris. And Dan's board's falling apart. Gets another Tetris to go to CO4. And Rahmations is clean. And Dan's going to top out CO7. Rahmations, you need CO8. Gets another Tetris. Double flips the T. Another Tetris should do it. Oh no, misses the rotation. B94. Opens the well. CO2, you need 5,000 more points, 2,000 more points. the 07, 140, one more burn, and CO8 will do it. Rahmations has clutched out game number 1. I'll add a scuffed number right there. Wow. What a warm introduction to restreaming on the CTL channel. Very nice. And clutches out the 1.4. GG. That's fine. We're chilling. We're chilling. Okay, Professor L said the bot should be back in a few. So maybe this is the last time I'll have to manually count down. Dan, perfect for 3 so far. Rahmations having to take some more burns, playing a bit more aggressive high up. It does get another Tetris. Takes the lead only due to those burns though. And gets another perfect Tetris. They were very desperate, Colin. So, desperate times call for desperate measures. And trying to keep that perfect streak, but it may end soon unless he does some crazy tuck. Oh, he did some crazy tuck. But he also took a burn. So, I mean, technically perfect. I mean, isn't perfect technically one single plus perfect, you know, for the perfect transition? That's fine. But took another burn, so no longer perfect. We can all go home. Jokes aside, 161, now 183 for Dan, 143 for Rahmations, 167 with that Tetris. And with a couple of burns here due to that displacement on the right. Giving Rahmations a chance to try and at least tie him up again. Is behind by a Tetris, but Rahmations' board is pretty messy right now. Could be danger if he doesn't start burning it down pretty soon. Meanwhile, Dan, 244, 220 for Rahmations. So Dan hasn't really been able to capitalize on this digging that Rahmations has been doing. See you later, Richard. And fills that bar dependency on the left. Tucks in the J for the burn with that bar. And the well's just about open. Will be with that bar and is ready for the Tetris. Rahmations gets one and goes up to 255. And Dan finally Tetris again, goes up to 293 and another for 316. Alright, both players' boards very nice, very clean. Rahmations a little dependent on the left, but gets some nice pieces to fill it out. And gets another Tetris. Dan's left side very high. Gets a bar to bring that down a bit. Can start building more on it now. Back to that crazy height. And gets another Tetris, 384. Rahmations gets one as well. Goes up to 351. Dan ahead by about 50,000 points. Almost 60,000 actually. Nearly 3 Tetrises ahead. Rahmations just some crazy spire here in the middle. Gonna give Dan the opportunity to bring up this lead quite a bit. And that looked like a double flip or something from Rahmations, so that's gonna hurt his stack a bit as well. Dan now ahead by 100,000 points and counting. That Tetris will be the and counting I mentioned, now 120. Dan on pace for another 600 transition, barring any kind of significant tragedy. On the bot's back, let's go. And it looks like a significant tragedy could be happening, as I mentioned. Alright, Dan has dug out of it, has 3 more Tetrises available, will not be getting the 600k transition. Yeah, no, Sonny, I woke up, and as soon as I opened up Discord, King was like, can anyone restream Div 1 please? I said, sure. If you're desperate enough, he said, I am. So, Dan will transition 569, 383 transition for Rahmations. I didn't even think I'd be getting a stream key. I thought I would just do it on my channel, but then he was like, here's stream key. I got you. So Dan ahead by 250,000 points. Which is a lot of points. But if anyone can come back from that lead, it is Rahmations. And probably some other people too, technically. But nonetheless, Dan is currently ahead. 666, in fact, for Dan. 416 for Rahmations. Rahmations probably going to have to play it out in 29. Unless Dan somehow tops out early, but he is stacking clean and does not appear to be in any sort of danger anytime soon. The best ability is availability. Oh, Rahmations, his board is getting high, but gets some very nice pieces to get some clutch burns to open that well back. Dan now ahead 300,000 over Rahmations. Rahmations going to need significant points in post at this rate. $857 for Dan, 583 Rahmations. Rahmations having to do some more burning, not what he wants to see. Is keeping the stack clean, but not able to be scoring those points. And Tetris and change away from a max out in mid 26. Rahmations probably 10 Tetrises away from a max out. Nice double there for Dan. That was really nice. But now Dan is having to do a bit of burning. That right side is covered and needs to uncover it as soon as possible. Rahmations needs to get this board down. And with that Tetris, Dan will max out in level 28. Rahmations is in quite a dig here. He's getting it down. Now we'll need to play significant level 29 to catch up here. Dan goes into 29 A80. Rahmations goes into 29 726. And I'm not sure there's much you can do here. Gets a Tetris, I think that was. Wait, I may have just doubted Rahmations. That's my fault. Rahmations is alive still. Wow. Okay. I doubted Rahmations. And I paid the price. Rahmations is clean and set up for a level. Tetris misses the bar. Gets his second one over. And a third one. B10 for Dan. 820 for Rahmations. Rahmations Tetris ready and gets it. 868. B34 for Dan. Yeah, no, I definitely thought it was over. Mountain Dew, how's it going, by the way? Another Tetris for Rahmations. 919 is somehow catching up. Dan at B56. Rahmations 934. This board's just getting high and Rahmations doesn't care. Does a tuck. Misses the second one. And at B79, Rahmations misses the bar left. That's 10 left. And gonna top out 953. So Dan, you are good for game number 2. Tying up the set 1-1. GG. Pieces I had leading into 19 transition were garbage. It was insane 29 though. Next seed will be 7E. Of course, play it out, Dan. See what you can do. Oh, hangs that bar left. Bar right would get 1.3. Gonna miss the 1.3 by 1,200 points. GG. Still a great score. Alright, we do have 2 readies now though, so let's go ahead and count down game number 3. And it'll actually work this time in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Dan focusing more on building out that left. Well, Rahmations just kind of building a more of an even stack. It's gonna work out for Rahmations to get the first Tetris. Dan right behind him. Oh, Rahmations, bit of a bar dependency there. Gonna fill it and open that well back up. Both players are ready for a Tetris. Dan at 69,000, 71,000 for Rahmations, but increase both of those by 22,800 because they both got a simul Tetris. Another one for Dan. Rahmations not able to use that bar for one. So Dan now has the lead, 116 to 96,000. And with an essentially even line count, is a true pace lead for Dan. Rahmations has to burn this down a bit though. It opens up well. Not getting the pieces to burn this out. And it's kind of high now. But gets the bar to open the well. And now it's Dan's turn to have a bit of digging on his side. And built dirty, very dirty in fact, and is ready for a Tetris. Of course, takes the burn one piece too early and was not able to get the Tetris. Only taking a triple. This has given Rahmations a chance to take the lead. Currently by only 3,000, but could be more if Dan doesn't get out of this soon. 183 for Dan, 186 for Rahmations. Rahmations with a series of tucks, actually, just to not tuck that one. Gonna make him start burning as well. Dan wants redemption for that dirty Tetris earlier. Had one set up, but did not get it again. Both players are digging this much at the same time. You have to assume it's probably not the best seed. Or both players misdropped, but as Tetris players, we probably prefer to blame the seed. And so that's what we will roll with. Dan just not able to get this open. Finally opens it with the T, blocks the well as soon as the bar shows. Meanwhile, Rahmations is clean and 90,000 points ahead. Just been so focused on this dig from Dan that I haven't noticed that Rahmations brought that score up a bit. 291 for Rahmations, 209 for Dan. Dan gets redemption for the dirty Tetris. 233 now. There's also ahead in lines as he's been burning very high. Rahmations gets another Tetris, bringing this to a... Oh, and another Tetris as well, bringing it to a 100,000 point lead. 240 for Dan, 340 for Rahmations. And Dan set up for another dirty Tetris. Gonna get it. And another dirty Tetris for Dan. 289, 343 for Rahmations. Takes a split triple on the left. Dan is building dirty once again. Opts to not fill the dependency and instead set up for what looks like almost 2 dirty Tetrises worth of well here. Takes a triple into the Tetris. 345 for Dan, 397 for Rahmations. So Dan actually catching up through all these dirty Tetrises, though he is quite ahead in lines, 124 to 115. Certainly not on pace for a 600k transition this game, unlike the other two, which he was on pace for until about 110 lines. Transition's 374. Rahmations actually a little dirty, built up for a dirty Tetris. This could help Dan a bit, unless Rahmations is efficient and just brings us down with 2 Tetrises right now. There's 1 bar for a Tetris. Set up for another. This would bring him into transition. No good place for that square, but does get another Tetris to transition 473, and Dan's board is not ideal, I think is how we would describe that. They're going to cause a lot more burning and give Rahmations the chance to just pad his lead here at 504 currently. 436 for Dan. Rahmations with that Tetris takes 100,000 point lead once again, 559 to 451. Just a pretty suffer game here for Dan, and probably Rahmations thinking that this is not the best game for him either. Probably not a fan of this pace. Even the best Tetris players have pretty lackluster games sometimes. Dan just about open and clean. Nice adjustment for that T. And is set up for the Tetris now. Gets the bar for it. Gets the Tetris across 500,000 points in level 24. Rahmations 650, now 679 with that Tetris. So maintaining this 100 to 150,000 point lead at any given time. Gets another Tetris to go to 709. Dan gets one as well to go to 566. This is actually turning into more of a, could be a 200,000 point lead if Rahmations keeps his efficiency up and Dan has to do more burning. And at 599, I set up some kind of double there, but the pieces didn't show in time. Had to make do with what he had. And this is the burning I was mentioning. Now Rahmations ahead by 200,000 points. But his stack's kind of getting a little messy, so Dan can have a chance to at least bring this lead down a little bit. But Rahmations is already clean again. Does make another hole, but it won't be much of an issue. Should be able to burn this out pretty quick. Does add some weight to it. Dan 685, 846 for Rahmations. Has to deal with this hole. Now needs a J or a bar and creates even more holes. It makes the bar dependency for the bar. It is open. 852 to 721. Dan has brought this lead down a little bit, though he is still ahead in lines. Dan transitions to 29, 792. And there's no good places for those pieces. It's going to top out 792. So Rahmations, you're good for game number 3. Alright, Dan is ready. Rahmations is ready. That means it's time for game number 4. We're going to count it down. 3, 2, 1, Tetris. So Rahmations is 1 game away from taking this game. Or the set, rather. Dan needs to clutch 2 more. What are the standings currently like in this division? Dan 3-0. And Rahmations is 3-0. So this is actually an intense matchup. I didn't realize that. Wow. This will probably determine the current leader of the division. Dan really building out that left. Gets the Tetris. Dan with some burns early on. 50,000. Rahmations at 114. Rahmations early lead here at 121. Dan's board kind of falling apart. But actually, no, it's not falling apart. It's doing the opposite. It is working out. Probably, at least. It's set up for center well if the bar ever shows. But Rahmations did mention these seeds are pretty droughty. And bringing this down pretty good, just about out of it now. A few more burns will do so. Actually, I thought he would have had the bar 1 more to the left and the J would have opened it, but worked out for him nonetheless. And Dan is now open and ready for business. 147, gets a Tetris to bring that to 169. Rahmations at 243. Gets another Tetris as well to go up to 266. So definitely good early pace lead here for Rahmations. I think that was an adjustment of the S for that Z piece. Very nice. And Rahmations crosses the 300,000 point threshold there. Is that the right word? I don't know. It's okay. Gets another Tetris as well to go to 335. 265 for Dan with that Tetris. Not necessarily the ideal pace Dan would be looking for, but I mean, after last game, probably loving it. That last game score was not his favorite if I had to take a guess. Another Tetris for Dan. Has to do a couple of burns to uncover this hole, and does so in a timely manner. And Dan crosses 300,000 points as well at 94 lines. And this is how I realized Dan is actually a little bit ahead in lines. Not by too much. 94 lines for him. And, well, 93 now for Rahmations, but Dan's stack is higher, so it's still technically ahead in lines. About by a Tetris or so. So, of course, Rahmations lead already pretty big at 100,000 points, but it's even a little bigger with the pace lead. 361 for Dan, 450 for Rahmations. Tried to spin that L, but missed the spin. Now it's bar dependent. But of course, RNG is nice sometimes as well. We always blame it, but sometimes it's pretty polite. And in that case, it was quite polite to Rahmations with that bar. 476 for him, 367 for Dan. Rahmations' board falling apart a little bit. Not really necessarily in danger, I would say, but going to hurt the pace quite a bit. Overall, it's just an annoyance. Does bring it down with that bar. But Dan transitions 4:45. Rahmations still 10 lines away from doing so with the lead. Rahmations actually sets up for a dirty Tetris and gets it in a timely manner. Sets up a T-spin as well. T shows up one piece too late. But not a terrible transition for Rahmations. It's going to be a low 500. Transitions 517. The highest max out I've seen in CTL. I mean, I've seen some rollovers, I think. I'm sure I have, at least. I can't think of a super high score off the top of my head. Talking about restreaming, is the 1.4 from earlier. 509 for Dan, 618 for Rahmations, so maintaining this 100,000 point lead or so, plus an extra Tetris if you're talking about the pace lead. Another Tetris for Dan to go to 563. Rahmations doing a little bit of digging. Could give Dan a small chance to bring back this lead just a tad, but Rahmations gets out of it in a timely manner. Dan's now bar dependent twice over, actually, but has one of the bar dependencies blocked. Changes one of the bar dependencies to a different dependency and then fills it. While Rahmations just clean and stacking and making some Tetrises. Hands open, ready for a Tetris when the bar is gonna show. And of course the bar shows when the well is blocked because we love this game for some reason. And oh no, Dan hangs a bunch of pieces and gonna top out at 500 something. Rahmations is good for the game and the sets. GG. I think this is the right one. No, wait, wrong one. Wrong one. There we go. Third time's a charm. Ignore that one. Ignore that. That was for something else. Yeah. GG Rahmations. So next up we will have Hydrant and SV. So I'll get that set up. Play this out, Rahmations, so I can set up, please. Thank you. Smile. Okay, we're back, technically. Just waiting for SV to go live and for Hydrant to add end, and Hydrant to add has ended. Nice. Let me, let's see. Oh yeah, you're welcome. There's SV in the chat. Oh, let's go. I waited. Yeah, because I changed the name and it just uses the same same file. Yeah, that's funny. Cannot believe the match isn't already reported. Oh, yeah, I guess I could report it while I wait for SV to go live. So weird reporting a Div 1 match. Tyler Tetris is slacking right now. Tyler Tris, if you will. Hey Hydrant, how's it going? Oh, you're on an alt? Oh, okay. You can just give me the alt if you want. Is he slacking or is he snacking? I have not snacked. I woke up literally 1 minute before King said, "Can anyone take this?" And then I said, "Are you desperate enough?" He said, "Yeah." So I haven't eaten anything yet. I'll do that after. There's SV. Adjust that cam really quick and then we'll be good to go. There we go. So I'll go ahead and put a seed in chat for whenever y'all are ready. Of course, take your time with your warm-ups. And when you're ready, just show me on Tetris Gym. But of course, take your time. It is 3 p.m. for SV. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. All right, hydrant is ready. I think it is a Super Mario remix, so that may be why. But yeah, no, I love this playlist that I use. Glad you're liking it as well. Oh, I just use one I found on YouTube. I can give you a link to it. I just came across it a while ago and I liked it. I was like, I'll just use it for